Sandi Augsburger. I live in Ada County, and I moved here in 2000, although for a short time I did live in Boise and served on the assembly there, but as long as we've had an assembly here, I've been on the assembly. They usually have me be the secretary. I've been a Baha'i since 1971. Well, when we lived in a different part of Idaho, in Burley, I organized a youth group. We would go to Pocatello, and people would come from Wyoming, and we'd meet in Pocatello and try to keep it going. I had children's classes in Ada County for a while, but the kids grew up. Happens. As far as teaching goes, again, the Hyde Park Street Fair has been the most successful as far as teaching goes, and reaching thousands of people. Chance to tell them about the faith. When my daughter was at BSU, we established a BSU club.
Which you still have?
But it was in hiatus for a while.
Okay.
But we actually had 4 or 5 declarations from that.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, some of them, of course, have graduated and moved on. But it was really exciting to be a part of that. I became a Baha'i as a youth due to a college club.
Oh.
Yeah, back east. And I've also been very interested in the history of the faith in this area, because actually I've discovered that a lot of communities around the nation are trying to compile things, because if you don't keep records of what has happened when, it gets lost. I think it's really important for each community to have some kind of archivist who keeps track of what happened when, what the results were, and just have it available, because people forget. And there's a whole bunch of stuff I found here that nobody knew in the stuff I put together, which is really, really interesting. But a lot of other stuff, I keep looking, but I don't know if I'm going to find it.
Like what? Can you give me an example?
Who were the members of the, well, I could probably get this from National, who were the members of the first assemblies in the area. But that's the kind of thing that people, they don't remember. And people weren't clear on when the faith started in this area.
Okay, I think you have one thing here, first resident Baha'i.
Yeah, that was in 1918.
1918, so.
A Baha'i moved here, married a man who worked on the bridges that were being built here in Boise. And they only lived here 5 years. In 1923, they moved to Sacramento. And her name was Frances Isabel Klein. And she actually met Abdul Baha in Sacramento.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and quite a bit of information I got from the Sacramento Baha'i Communities archives, because a lot of people from California came here. For example, Louise Caswell came from California, or Estella Rexford, Louise Caswell, others all came from California, and we actually had 2 youth who homefront pioneered here. And there's a lot of mention of them in the records, that they stayed, they committed. Their names were, should have it right here, I had it a minute ago. Ios was one of them. Oh, Farouk Ios and Sally Stnor, down in 1942. That's when the community really started growing. But there were Baha'is that came through 1919, 1935, 36, and I have records of them, of how many declarations there were during those years, constant declarations. Among those first declarations were Ethel Thompson in Ada County, and Elizabeth Edelman in Boise, and they both became secretaries of the first assemblies.
Nice.
And also there was Mildred Cossey, was very active. And during this time of growth, Hand of the Cause of God, Mr. Samandari actually came through. And there was correspondence with Ruhia Khanum and counselors, and it was a goal of having an assembly established in each of the northwestern states. And Boise was where it was established, and so there was a lot of commitment from really dynamic people to come through and help with the teaching. Like George Latimer came through, and there were, like I said, Mildred Cossey was a homefront pioneer. So people moved in, important people came through, correspondence, even with the Universal House of Justice. So it was kind of an exciting time to be here, I think.
Do you have any records of those correspondence with, for example, Universal House of Justice? Is it here?
Yeah, I have a couple of letters from Ruhi Khanum, letters from the Universal House of Justice, from Mr. Samander Reeve, from Ruhi Khanum.
Would you mind read one of the letters from Ruhi Khanum?
Okay. From Ruhi Khanum, Dear Baha'i Friends, written to the Ada County Baha'i Assembly in care of Mrs. Cossey, who was the first secretary. I was deeply touched by your loving letter of April 11th. The friends have met the supreme test, and this was when Shoghi Effendi passed on. And with a faith and fortitude I truthfully didn't believe they had. It shows how solidly and deeply the beloved guardian laid the foundation of the world order, not only in the institutions he raised up, but in the hearts of the believers of Baha'u'llah. This earthquake, she called it, the schisms that happened after Shoghi Effendi passed, this earthquake has not shaken his work. One might almost say it has shaken the hearts through sorrow and love into being knitted together into one mold of unity the world over. I am sure all of you will arise to every, I think it means even greater heights of service, and bring his blessed heartfelt joy in the Abha. Bring his blessed heart joy in the Abha kingdom. With warmest Baha'i love, Ruhiya. And she just signed it Ruhiya. And most of the correspondence with the Hands of the Cause and the Universal House was at the time of the formation of the first Universal House of Justice. And the Baha'is in Ada County wrote to say, we are loyal, we support the institution of the Universal House of Justice, and the House of Justice wrote back thanking the Assembly for that. There were Persian Baha'is that moved here too. Kim Kimmerling, I've mentioned him. But they're all people that dedicated their lives and moved in order to teach the faith. And it was really exciting. And the Universal House had put out a call for people to pioneer, to form these assemblies. And I noticed in our most recent correspondence, they've asked for us to do that again. To have homefront pioneers move and strengthen the communities that have been formed. One of the very first Baha'is around here was an Inuit Indian who had moved here. She taught school, Natalie Knudsen, and she's buried in the Hillcrest Cemetery between Caldwell and Nampa. And that's something that we didn't know because, like, Mrs. Afnan, Mickey Afnan, has tours each year of the various grave sites of Baha'is in the area, and they say prayers for them there, including like her husband Shamsi and Elizabeth Edelman. But now we know that Ethel Thompson is here, and the Inuit Indian, her name, I just lost it, Knudsen, yeah, Natalie Knudsen. They're also buried around here. So we can add them to the cemetery tour for prayers for their souls. Donna Lundgren loves this one. we're told that the worst, Chogi Effendi's told us if the worse things get in the world, the more people will turn to the faith. The core of wonderful Baha'is that live here and who are getting ready for when mass enrollment occurs. They're getting ready and they're strong and they dedicate to the faith. And it's kind of exciting to know that we'll be here when that happens. We can be a part of that.